Lighting is important in getting the mood right for a horror movie, so most scary scenes will be made to look like they are at night, as this will add a lot to the atmosphere. Also, a directional light will make the features and emotions on a face look more defined and extreme, just like in my example. The color of the lighting will also affect the mood. For example, red lighting can make things very tense, or a blue hint could make a scene seem more lonely and perhaps even ghostly. Most of the film Halloween is very dark, with some use of colored lighting and directional lighting. The examples mentioned can be seen in my example after the Halloween trailer. Sound is a big part of horror films and can add a lot to the film. For example, intense scenes, the use of this combined with mise-en-scene can keep the audience guessing and make the fright even bigger. Sounds like heavy breathing, footsteps, screams or screeches in the distance make the audience expect some action. Music is also used a lot to set the mood, add drama or a sense of urgency to the scene. Sound also adds believability to the video. If a character has to be computer generated, or in a scene where bones are breaking. Probably the best example of this is the sound used to bring the robots in Transformers to life, but the same idea applies with any film. A big part of this is the synchronization of the sound with the visuals, because if that is out, the film just looks messy and fake.
Why can't I remember what happened that night?
Characterization in horror films is used to give the audience emotional empathy with the characters. This can be used so that the audience hopes that a character survives to add more impact to their death or keep them on the edge of their seat, or even to give them a surprise when they find out that they liked the villain character before they were caught. Most films will only follow a few characters closely, so that there is more impact on the audience when something happens to them. The Uninvited, spoiler alert, is a good film for this as it actually follows the villain from her perspective, and has a lot of impact when the audience finds out that the main character was the killer all along, and we were seeing her hallucinations.
You do know there are cops all over this house.
I think I'd have just enough time to slice someone open.
I'll talk to him.
What's going on over there, you guys?
Sorry, I don't know. Kirby. Kirby.
Come on, do it.
There's no way you're in there.
Savor yourself.
Kirby? Kirby, come on, talk to me. This isn't funny. Kirby! Liar.
Mise-en-scene in horror films has to be considered a lot too. Revealing the villain at the right point in the scene is vital to keep the suspense. Composing a close-up shot showing all the emotion and fear on a soon-to-be victim's face and leaving out a lot of the set keeps the audience guessing and uses empathy to scare them, and close-ups of any violence can add to the gore with the same sense of empathy. In the example below, the image is very dark in places, and there is quite a limited color palette, although more saturated than an average horror scene. That adds to the fear. The shot of the closet is use of mise-en-scene that gives the audience a false impression that is also used to add to the surprise. Visual effects add a lot of realism to horror films when desired. They can always be used totally over the top to add humorous amounts of gore to a film, or just enough to make the film all the more scary by keeping it believable. Most of the visual effects in a horror film are likely to be quite gruesome, typically being blood and guts, monsters or zombies and such like, but could also include a house burning down, for example. Films like Saw and Final Destination are good examples of films that take visual effects to the extreme because of the amount of gore in them. Cinematography plays a big part in any film, and horror is no different. A classic example of using point-of-view footage from the villain's perspective. This could be when stalking a victim, or killing them in order to add impact or suspense to a scene. Typically the cinematography of a horror film is used to avoid showing too much information, or to mislead them to make bigger frights. However, it can also be used to direct their attention to a scary prop like in The Crazies. This is also a good example of the use of colored lighting and sound.